we need to be able to move forward with the story of the game. This is David Braben in regard to the cancellation of Odyssey on consoles. So, what does this mean for future content for Elite, and what does Frontier's concept of story even mean? Well, between 2015 and 2018, it meant generally something very significant. From 2019 onwards, it meant something far less. Now, everything you're seeing on screen right now is what story in Elite Dangerous means to me. This is the content that was delivered by Frontier in terms of actual physical content between 2015 and 2018. Now, don't get me wrong, even back then, story was very much slow burn, but it was delivered on a semi-regular basis with some rather significant additions that did really move the story forward. Notably, of course, are the Thargoid bases you can see right here. For this 3 to 4 year period then, Elite Dangerous had a deep sense of mystery. There was always an element to the game of the unknown and the unsolved. This mystery then formed the backbone of Elite Dangerous' story, which was largely alien-focused, specifically on the Thargoids, and let's not forget the Guardians as well. Now, there were additional story elements in the form of text-based content on Galnet as well as community goals, and we'll get to those in just a minute, but it's very important to understand that during this era, story was about far more than just text, CGs and rewards. It was actually about in-game content with which players could interact. On screen right now is the Thargoid star map, a central chamber within the Thargoid bases. The bases themselves could be located by solving a rather unique puzzle. Transport one of these unknown links, a strange mysterious artifact, into space after it had been programmed, and wait for it to point to a location in space. Follow the laser to a mysterious planet. Eventually you'll track down a brand new, as yet unseen Thargoid base, inside of which were further puzzles such as the aforementioned star chamber, where things would get very interesting if you'd experiment a little bit too much by using Guardian technology. All of this then is just one example amongst many of what it meant to move forward with the story of the game. And indeed there are many examples: damaged space stations, vast alien forests, mysterious crashed spaceships and much more. Each of these a step on the path of Elite's story. And that's without even mentioning the ruins of the long extinct alien race known as the Guardians. Here was yet more brand new content that was released on a semi-regular basis, each time bringing with it new locations for players to track down as well as new objects and puzzles to solve. So all of this is what it used to mean to move forward with the story of Elite Dangerous, at least up until 2018, at which point things began to dramatically change. Now, no one outside of Frontier really knows what happened here, but it's quite possible to speculate. Odyssey went into full development in June of 2018, and interestingly the next patch of any significance was beyond Chapter 4, which released in December of the same year. This then was the last patch of any note until June 2020, at which point the much delayed Fleet Carrier update arrived. Now at this point it's well worth mentioning that the concept of story dramatically changed after 2018. Today, story for Elite Dangerous largely means text-based Galnet articles, community goals and module rewards. This then is very clearly in stark contrast to what it meant to move the story forward back in 2015 to 2018. Now some of you may be wondering, why is Obsidian treading over old ground again? Well, the reason for that is very simple, and it comes down to answering the question, in 2022, what do Frontier mean when they say they want to move Elite's story forward? Do they mean they want to continue with text-based Galnet articles, community goals and module rewards? Or do they mean they want to deliver brand new in-game content? Well, for starters, we've got to keep in mind that for now at least, when Frontier talk about story, they do mean a text-based story on Galnet as well as community goals and module rewards. Now, I'd like to believe that if they've got to cancel consoles to progress the story forward, then that story has to be something significant. What could it be? Well, if I were to speculate, it would be the long-rumoured Thargoid motherships, which incidentally some people have called Thargoid Titans, in addition to a Thargoid first-person combat that we can use with the Odyssey side of Elite. Both of these would be pretty big additions and would certainly be in keeping with what Frontier used to mean when they discussed story. You don't really have to read between the lines to see that the difficulty Frontier have had with developing Odyssey has very much held up the progress they'd otherwise like to have made. So, whilst we're rapidly approaching the midpoint of 2022, and Elite hasn't progressed its story for 3.5 years, at least in terms of in-game content, then at this point my last final hope for Elite Dangerous is that Frontier will finally return to the story of old. But that's just me. You may feel entirely differently about the subject, so do let me know in the comments section below. Would you like to see Frontier move the story forward with brand new in-game content? Or are you perhaps content with text-based articles and community goals? Or do you feel Frontier should be taking a different approach entirely? Do let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.